Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for allowing me the privilege of speaking this evening about a subject that I'm very passionate about, VCIs and their use in industrial packaging. I'll just tell you a little bit about our company before I move into VCIs. We commenced in 1955 when our founding director found a need in the marketplace for a range of paper products that would protect metal products from rust and corrosion. Simply, he purchased several items of capital equipment. They were a coating machine to actually coat the ferrous papers and for non-ferrous metals as well. A sheeter to run the papers down to various sizes, and a guillotine to further cut them down. Also supplied die-cut shapes. At that point in time, I joined the company in 1999. Paper worldwide was on the decline, primarily because plastics had started to move into the VCI area. Now, what are VCIs? They're a salt composite. They're temperature sensitive. It's a molecule that activate and migrate to the surface of the metal. They vaporise in the form of a microscopic crystal and align themselves to the metal surface. They attract to the metal surface by virtue of polar orientation. They passivate the charged surface and create a barrier that prevents oxidisation. You can see that they keep migrating from the paper or plastic to the metal surface and form almost like fish scales on the surface. They prevent oxidisation primarily through the flow of electrons in the metal, and the flow of ions in the electrolytic surface is unable to establish itself. And they keep working. We've just concluded some tests with the RAAF F-11 and F-18 fighter planes. We've stored them for up to 4 years now, and we're now moving into some new plastics materials, which I'll talk about. We want to actually run this for up to 15 years. Here are just some typical examples of VCI papers. You can see there the Araterra engine block, flywheels, bronze hoops in paper, and pistons in paper. It's a hand wrapping operation, and the problem with paper though was it couldn't be directly exposed to the natural elements, where plastic wrapping could be. The next slide will describe a little more. Now, my friends at BlueScope, we did produce around 30 to 50 tonnes of a specialised scrim laminate paper. In the top of the slide there you can see a 10-tonne steel coil being prepared for wrapping for export overseas. And the second part is where the scrim laminate paper is wrapped around the coil, and down the bottom the coil is then prepared for stretch wrap. And within that the coil, you can see the inner bore protector, and it's stretch wrapped at the final conclusion. Now, our dear friends BlueScope elected to withdraw manufacturing of tin plate in Australia, and companies like Amcor Can and indeed NCI had to go out externally and look for tin plate around the world. We indeed lost a lot of business. In fact, it was the lion's share of our business. Can I tell you, we became very, very acutely proactive after losing such a substantial client like BlueScope. We started to develop and explore VCIs much more earnestly, and in actual fact we started to work very hard on looking for new avenues, and the VCI tube film, that's wrapping of coil steel. Down the bottom, the truck axles for Meritor going to the USA. On the right hand side is machines wrapped in heavy duty film, where we put on a pallet we would put a base sheet down. The bag goes over the top of this expensive CNC machine. They're worth around $500,000 each. Then it's sealed and air evacuated. We also at Unidrive there you can see perforated sheet in VCI, which is used to house couplings, and we started to capture an increasing amount of business. We then went another step further with the introduction of triple layer VCI film. In other words, we put VCI actives in the bottom layer, middle layer, and top layer we put UV inhibitors. We then also looked at, that's for George Ward 1 steel, the scrim laminate, and you can see there the film wrapping the steel. In 2004, it was probably the most important step for Australian Inhibitor in establishing new concepts in packaging. I was invited by a young graduate engineer. They had a corrosion issue around the hub of the Monaro on export. Now, it wouldn't have mattered to me had it been the cleaner, I still would have gone down there. After given the criteria of the design and function, I went away and spent a fair bit of time in design of a product. And of course we had to test in terms of laboratory work that the VCI actives would migrate from the surface and protect the rim and also the disc itself from any rust and corrosion. The design itself had to be easily removed. We had to design thumb hole grabs, and it had to be drawn off from the front of the wheel. So the wheel could not be taken off. So here I designed a wheel protector where it fitted both the 18-inch and the 19-inch wheels of the Monaro. The perforations at the top are pre-broken back so it would fit the 18-inch or open for the 19-inch. There were thumb hole grabs all the way around the periphery of the wheel, and the inner bore had perforations to lock onto the hub. And it was road tested to 100 kilometres an hour. I'll never forget that test. But it simply wasn't able to come off. So we had to consider board grades and qualities of board. It was an interesting project. This product was originally considered by the Packaging Council of Australia and was nominated. Finally, the first export orders for Monaro, which are rebadged as Pontiac, go to the USA. You can see the protector quite clearly on the wheel. However, business was very, very low. A lot of effort, both in design and in the laboratory. I spent a lot of time. And I was very disappointed because the numbers just simply didn't add up. We didn't get a lot of business out of this. It sort of reminded me a little bit about Patrick and Sean by the side of the road. And Patrick and Sean are selling watermelons for $1 and they're buying them for $1. And Patrick turns to Sean and says, Sean, we're doing something wrong. What are we doing wrong? We're buying watermelons for $1 and we're selling them for $1. And Sean said, I know. We need a bigger truck. All was not lost. Within the car industry, the communications are very, very good indeed, particularly between HSV and the Holden plant. And I was invited down to the Todd Road plant, having heard about our work at HSV. We went down there and we designed a bag to suit the engine, the HSV 6 engine. And you can see there the VisiBoard corrugated carton with the waxed cleats, and they're designed so the engine sits in at a certain angle to prevent moisture release. And that bag is now produced, and we were lucky enough to win a contract for 4 years with Holden for all their export program. We trialled many VCI engines overseas and came up with the right formula. And it's probably because of our niche market, and that's all we do is VCI products, and our history, we then received that particular order.